Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to welcome you back to another edition of Foreclosurepedia Podcast. Foreclosurepedia Podcast, presentation of the Foreclosurepedia Radio Network, which premieres each Sunday evening at 2300 hours. I'd like to welcome everybody aboard this evening. You know, we've had a pretty big week so far. We're going to stream out this podcast that we're doing right now in Google Hangouts, but we just didn't seem to have that opportunity. Had a lot of back-end glitches and such, so we're probably going to switch our provider over. We're going to go to these folks right here, WP Engine. I've spoken with them, and a bunch of my partners actually use them, and it's really a lot less headaches. Incidentally, I don't sponsor them. I'm not getting any kick for announcing who they are, but if you run WordPress, Google in best hosting, half dozen of them. So 6 of one, half dozen of another. But anyway, like I say, there's a whole lot of things going on, and so what we had to do was actually revert over to our Google Voice line. We'll eventually be running that up through some mixing software and such. That number is 865-314-7139. It's usually valid anytime that we're on the air. Other than that, you can leave a message. One of the biggest things that we're actually going to talk about this evening is the actual declining inventory, if you will, in the foreclosure industry. Mortgage Servicing News in their July 2013 write-up on this stated, does falling inventory signal an end to REOs? In the August edition, they actually had a supplement where they interviewed Eric Miller, the executive director of the National Association of Mortgage Field Services. They interviewed Alan Jaffa, chief executive officer of Safeguard Properties, and Joe Badalamenti, Joe Bada, over at Five Brothers. And, all of them tried to, basically be stoic about it. But here's the reality, folks. The inventories, they're going by the wayside. And to really drill down upon that and to get into our discussion this evening, what exactly does that mean? And I'm going to give you a quote here, quote from Mortgage Servicing News. Quote, the banks are showing them in listings but are holding them at prices that are 20 to 50% premium to market prices. And that's just to be able to say their regulator to their regulator, we tried to sell them, but we can't. So you have to give us another 5 years to hold them, end quote, Rosner said. Those ultimately don't represent inventory that you, realtors, are going to see. This represents inventory that results in bank losses, and they're trying to breathe those through as slowly as they possibly can. What they're estimating is really only 25 to 30% of the game out there is going to be viable. This evening, our first caller on the air is Aaron Aviero. He's at Las Vegas, Nevada. I believe you're the chief operating officer of Alladay LLC.
Yeah, actually, we're a little north of Las Vegas in Silver Springs, Nevada.
Silver Springs, Nevada. So, in a nutshell, how has this overall impacted you guys? Actually, seeing the inventory declining, if you will, say over the past 6 to 12 months. Have you seen? And to consolidate that, have you A, seen a decline in orders, and B, with that decline, have you seen any adjustment in pricing? For example, has your pricing actually gone up since your orders are going down?
Pricing definitely has not gone up. One of the things that we did with our business model is we didn't drop any clients, but we're not actively seeking what is known in the industry as order mills or a national company. If they come approach us and the numbers work, we'll talk. But I have yet to see numbers, and I'll give you an example. Some numbers were sent out. The scuttlebutt in the industry, the Fannie Mae contract in a couple states that Cypress has is going to AMS as of September 1st. And the numbers that I saw, there's absolutely no way we can make them work. You're looking at they've gone way down. $110 to do a spit shine janitorial on a Fannie Mae property, and for those people out there that don't know what's involved on a Fannie Mae janitorial, you basically go in there and you scrub that house from the ceiling to the floor, wall to wall, move appliances inside, outside appliances. You get behind the walls on the appliances. They want all the grease moved, all the nails, screws, everything taken out of the walls, light bulbs replaced, wall covers put on and everything. So I don't, and I didn't see a list of extras, what they call extras in the industry, like you get paid for the wall covers, you get paid for the light bulbs. I didn't see any reference to that, so I'm not sure if that is in there or not. But I mean, the bottom line, $110 minus 20% is $88, and you're looking at, a two-man crew at least, or a three-man crew on a property for a full day. You got 24 man-hours there with the other stuff that's going on, plus all your. I just don't see how anybody can make it work with the logistics that are involved in this area and the fees that we have to pay for dumping and gas and stuff like this. So I don't know how it's going to play out, but I have yet to see any pricing go up. I've seen pricing do nothing but continue in the last 3 years in this area go down.
And for those of you out there with us this evening, when when Mr. Javier actually speaks about Fannie Mae, he's actually talking about a subcomponent of the FHA, Federal Housing Administration Agency, and they actually insure the notes, and when shit goes south, for want of better words, they're the people who come in and they in some ways pay out, and then they repossess and actually restructure out the properties. But that's interesting. I want to touch on that for a minute. You said 3 people a full day, so I'm presuming that's 8 hours. That's 24 hours. Now, I know it's not required on pre-conveyance, but if you had to pay prevailing wage, let's say in accordance with the Service Contract Act, at about $20 an hour, let's see, that's that's pretty substantial. I don't see any way you could do that for $110, could you?
You know what? I know guys that are paying $10-12 an hour, and they're having a difficult time making the numbers work. I'll give you an example. One of the contractors we talked to is with Safeguard, and he goes and looks at the property, and he calculates how much time he's going to have into it, what his dump fees are going to be, and if he can't make it work, he just declines a work order. And a lot of guys out here, companies, they're having a very difficult time making it work, like I was saying, at $10 or $12 an hour. So I couldn't even fathom in my wildest dreams making these numbers work, paying under the Service Contract Act or even Davis-Bacon. I mean, you're looking at paying. I don't know how people can do it. I really don't.
And what exactly happens when? And we actually have another caller on hold who's calling in about this. But what exactly happens? What is the response by the industry when you decline a work order? Is there any retribution, for want of better words?
Sometimes there is. If you have a good relationship with what they call an area or a state rep with your clients. If you have a good relationship with them, they'll call you up and they'll say, like, for example, one of the people we have, they'll call me up, Aaron, why can't you do this? Why are you? Look, I can't make the numbers work. You're borderline the debris count on the property. There's 35 yards of debris there. By the time I get it loaded up, it's going to cost me $800. By the time I'm done paying the labor, by the time I'm done taking it to the dump and all my transportation costs, I cannot make it work. And you and I both know you're going to try to beat us down on the cube count. So, and that is the big thing right now. The biggest line item on an invoice is debris counts. They pick by the cubic yard. And one of the things that I have seen time and time again, one of the biggest gripes in the industry, and probably second to the back charge, but the debris count, everybody gets beat up on the debris count. They'll submit 40 yards of debris, and somebody sitting behind a desk says, your pictures only reflect 22 yards. And they'll have a dumpster, like a 40-yard dumpster with the measurements written on the side of the dumpster overflowing. And these people are saying, your photos only reflect 22. So the contractors. There's a real tough dichotomy there.
Is there any type of, grievance procedure, for want of better words? I mean, is there an outside agency, or is there any way to, say, escalate that to have a review done? I mean, to date, I've been really hard-pressed to find any agency or association or group or anything that even advocates, let alone gets involved in this. I mean, so, for example, tomorrow if I submit something and I say this is 5 cubic yards, I mean, is there anybody out there or any agency that has passed a law, rule, or regulation that states categorically this, say, maybe pixel count, this amount of pixels in a photo will damn sure guarantee 1 cubic yard? Or is this more what we like to call in the legal world arbitrary and capricious? It's just whimsical.
I have to go with the latter. They're arbitrary and capricious. To my knowledge, and it's funny you ask that question. I am in the middle of a survey right now, and to my knowledge, there is no like a third party to do conflict resolutions or anything. But one of the questions that I have in a survey that's about halfway as far as the time frame goes. Do you feel the property preservation industry needs a conflict resolution system to address the issues? And then this specific survey was on back charges, but 85% of the people that have participated in the survey so far are saying yes. There needs to be some kind. There's nothing. I mean, when I read, we have a little consulting, business consulting going on out here, and people will send me a contract clause, and when I read these contract clauses, I'm just flabbergasted that a company says conflict resolution, if they are located in Miami, that's where conflict resolution gets done, is in Miami. I'm like, how is that even possible, especially in this day and age of technology? How can anybody look themselves in the mirror and ask another person to sign a contract with a clause like that in it? Basically, it's saying, we know you can't afford to come to Miami to dispute a $1,500 charge, so we get to beat you out of your money, and there's nothing you can do about it. And that, so to answer the question, I know of nothing, and I don't see anything. I don't see any organizations trying to develop one, or anybody even. And maybe that might be my next project after this, after we get the final results on this survey, is to start seeing if there isn't a way out there to get with the nationals and to get with some of the other players in the industry and see if some kind of system that would be neutral, third party. Because to me, it would have to be neutral. You couldn't have. It would be. You have to have somebody neutral that doesn't care. So it's like a shrink. They don't care if you live or die. They just,
So in all fairness to the Nationals, so the Nationals' point of view, or the regionals, or the otherwise unspecified, and to play devil's advocate, their position might be, well, the contractor didn't have to enter into the agreement. How would the and let me enter this caveat back before I actually became involved with media. I actually had reached out to the National Association of Mortgage Field Services, and I had spoken directly with Eric Miller, their current executive director, and I had asked him to establish a grievance committee, which he refused to do so. He categorically refused to do so. But with that said, the Nationals' position very well may be, if you don't like the contract, don't sign that. How does that make you as a contractor feel, and how would you suggest to the contracting community that perhaps they should approach that? Because ultimately I would view that as the end game.
One of the things, and I'm very adamant in pointing this out when I do a consultation, the way a contract works, there's a phrase called mutuality of agreement, and that is two or more parties coming together and coming to an agreement. And this blind contract, not a blind contract, but that's not the proper word, but sign this contract or forget it, take a hike, I'm sorry, that's not a negotiation. That is telling somebody what to do, and I mean, I know there's going to be a lot of people out there that are going to just flip out when I get done saying what I'm about to say. My opinion, I have yet to see a new contract in the year 2013 come across my desk that is not a glorified employment agreement. There is just too much dictation, too much direction, too much control in these contracts for an individual to actually be an independent contractor. They're told everything from the supplies, what they have to do, the tools they have to use, the type of materials they have to use on some of these services. They're told they have to do something even if it's against state laws. Like, for example, in Nevada, people are told if you do a winterization, which is against the law in Nevada unless you're a licensed plumber, that you're obligated to do $300 worth of plumbing repairs if the property needs it, which, again, is against the law in Nevada if you're not a licensed plumber. So I'm seeing a lot of issues in contracts right now that they're basically a glorified employment agreement and not a contract between two organizations, like I said, with that phrase, mutuality of agreement. There is none. It's all one-sided. And it all benefits the other side. I get animated about it because to me it's not right. It's like it's gotten so far out of hand. The only way to correct it is just to throw everything in the bag and throw it in the garbage and start over.
and that very well may be where it's going with the restructuring. But I appreciate you for actually calling in this evening. And, we wish you the best going forward. And you always have the number here to the podcast. And feel free to reach out anytime.
Hey, thanks for having us. You guys have a good night.
You too. Bye.